Hi guys, it's your girl Naya here, and I am here doing an interview with my dad, Mike. He is an XLHer. He is hard of hearing, so he does wear hearing aids. I do have my mom on the side, Lindy, who, if he can't hear me, she's going to help out. And we also have a special guest, the Kalima Bell. So, hello, Father.
Hello.
So, how old are you?
50-something.
50-something. And this is my mother, Lindy, with her Kalima Bell.
My Kalima Bell.
So we have had some requests in me interviewing you, and since you are an XLHer and you're male, when did you first know that you had XLH?
When I was about 9, I was adopted, and I was real small for my age, and I was bowed in the legs.
Do you remember growing up before you were officially diagnosed? Did you notice that your legs were different or that you were any different?
No, I didn't think about size or anything, no.
And being adopted, you do know your biological brothers and your biological mom, and none of them have it or carry it as far as you know, correct?
Correct.
And when you became adopted, what was the official diagnosis that you were given at 9 years old? Do you remember what it was called?
They just called it rickets, vitamin D resistant rickets.
And that was in the 70s, correct?
Yes.
Now you know how it feels. Just kidding. And what type of regimen or what did they do for you when you were 9 years old that you remember?
Actually, I would take Rocaltrol and about 15 huge pills that, believe it or not, they said they had hamster pee in them.
Was it KFOS or was it something else?
It was KFOS.
It was
Big,
KFOS.
huge pink pills. Not that big.
And you took you immediately
15 a day.
And you immediately started with the 15?
Mm-hmm.
And how many Rocaltrol do you remember?
One.
Just one
a
Rocaltrol.
day.
And when you started taking the medications, do you remember the tests or anything that you had to take?
No, I took a lot of blood work. Mostly they just monitored my vitamin D levels. And it was relatively new. And there was only one doctor in San Antonio that worked at the University of Texas that everyone that was diagnosed with rickets at the time would see him.
And do you know how many people there were that he was seeing?
8. At one time, he was only seeing about 8 or 9. I remember that. It was relatively new also.
And 8 or 9 in San Antonio, right?
In San Antonio.
And with your adopted parents, who obviously are your parents, how did they feel once you were diagnosed? Do you remember their thought process?
They really didn't have an opinion about it. I mean, all of my physical characters, being small and bowed legs, they had already accepted that. So they were also kind of new with the whole disease and didn't really understand everything at that time.
And did they put any limitations on you, like with school or sports or anything like that?
No, I played a lot of sports when I was a kid. Yes, my mom at first was reluctant to have me do any sports that required a lot of running, as I was slower than everybody else. I was smaller than everybody else. So I was very active as a youth, and so they started getting horses for me so I wouldn't have to run. And I became very active in the rodeo and showing horses.
And when did you start in the rodeo? What age?
When I was about 12.
And what did you do in the rodeo? Were you roping? Were you doing the bulls or anything like that?
No bulls, no. Just one time. But I was roping, showing horses, just mostly rodeo events.
And we get the comments, Trinity actually asked, we get the comments about, oh, did you just get off of horse or anything? Well, in this instance, you were actually dealing with horses how did it affect your legs and your body, and how did it feel? Was it normal?
Actually, believe it or not, just because of the confirmation of the legs that I had at being bowed, I was actually able to ride easier and better and less painful than other kids because my legs were already conformed to the horse. So I was able to ride longer and keep pressure. So it was actually an advantage of having XLH.
And how long did you do the rodeo and do the horses and everything like that?
I did that till I was 18.
18. And when you were growing up in school and going through middle and high school, did you participate in any sports other than the rodeo?
Oh yeah, I did the common baseball, soccer. I didn't do football. I obviously, because of my height, basketball was not much of an option. But I mean, I've played all of the sports or coached a lot of the sports, so I didn't feel real limited except for my own, limitations.
And what limitations would you say that you put on yourself as a child, as a teenager, and as a young adult?
Oh, that's just it. I really, as a child, I did not know that XLH had limitations. So in my mind, my limitations are only fixed with my physical capabilities. Like obviously, I couldn't jump real high, I couldn't run real fast, but I didn't see it as, oh, it's because I have XLH. It's just I wasn't as athletic as the other people.
And when you turned 18, what was your type of treatment or regimen, if there was any? Were you given any treatment or regimen as soon as you turned 18?
Actually, when I left, I did not have health benefits or anything, so I did not have a regimen. I was totally off of Rocaltrol, totally off the phosphate. I did not take any medications for the disease.
And that started and lasted how long? How long were you off of any type of regimen or any type of treatment for XLH?
Probably about 10 years after that.
So you were 28 when you got treatment again?
Yes.
And once you were off of the regimen, how do you feel? Do you remember how you felt? Was it different that you could tell?
I actually didn't feel any different. My symptoms were not as extensive as like yourself or your sister. The only pain I had, and I always had in pain, was the teeth.
The teeth. And when did you start having dental problems?
I actually had dental problems at a very young age, about 9 or 10. It was actually my orthodontist was the one that diagnosed me first that I might possibly have rickets because the bones were not maturing in my mouth and calcifying, and he was the one that referred me to the specialist that diagnosed me with rickets.
And what type of dental issues did you have, like abscesses?
I had abscesses constantly. I was having to have root canals. Towards my 25, about 23 years old maybe, I had an abscess that was so bad and that it stayed for so long that it actually puffed up my cheek where it came through right here. And I still have that scar.
And when would you say that you actually decided or had to go to the option of dentures?
That decision was kind of made where I was slowly losing my teeth and they were constantly in pain. And there was really... my mouth was not functioning or chewing properly. My digestive was not going well. And it was suggested that I just pull them all off from the top and the bottom and get the dentures.
And when you got the dentures, how many teeth would you say that you had left?
You had quite a few, but they were all
I had
broken.
quite a few, but they were bad. I would say maybe, I think they pulled a total of 20, 22 maybe,
Yeah, 10 and 10.
top and bottom.
And what was that experience like for you?
Really, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. You know, once you have your teeth pulled, you don't have any roots or feelings. So when you get the dentures in, it's just a matter of adjustment to learn how to chew again.
Mm-hmm.
The same as everyone else.
And would you say that having dentures was worth it?
Yes. Yes. Obviously, you know, up until that day or that week, I was in pain all the time with one tooth or another tooth.
And with dentures, do you have any dental, not necessarily dental problems, but do you have any problems with abscesses or anything of that nature since?
No.
No pain.
No pain or anything
No
like
pain. No pain.
that? And one other medical thing that wanted to be addressed is your hearing. When did you, because you do wear hearing aids, when did you first notice that you actually weren't hearing things the way that you should? Not that you...
Actually, in high school, I started noticing, but I didn't get treated because back then the hearing tests were, I could pretty much manipulate them, and I would just keep raising my hand and I would pass. And then it just wasn't cool to have hearing aids. So I either learned to start reading lips or I just didn't hear them.
And with reading lips, is that something that you would rely on, or do you, now with your hearing aids, are you more of a lip reader, or can you actually hear?
I can hear, but I still rely on lip reading for certain tones because I'm tone deaf, and I also rely on Lindy I look at her and she'll kind of relay what people are saying. If it's a crowded area or
like the
a
restaurant,
family reunion, I tend to still not talk that much. I try to listen. I don't know what conversations are going on a lot. You know, I'm not at 100% even with the hearing aids.
And since you said that you're not at 100%, do you know what each ear is?
No, I think it's at 30% on one ear. And
she did say that you got more hearing.
I actually
in your left.
Right.
So your hearing has improved since the last time?
Yeah, they have improved
with using hearing aids.
According to one audiologist, he was saying that once they reached a certain level of deafness, that it wouldn't get any worse. The ear was not fully formed because of all the bones and everything were not fully formed for an adult, was one of the reasons that my hearing loss is the way that it is.
And so with the technical advances in hearing aids as they progressed, would you recommend an ear, or you obviously have ones that are behind the ear? And what would you say would be the difference, if you can remember, in the in-ear hearing aids as opposed to the behind the ear?
It's just that the behind the ear have more power, and because of the severity of my hearing, I have to have behind the ear to have that much power to be able to hear.
Got you.
But you didn't like to at first.
I didn't like the behind the ear. Now, the inner canal, because I am still active at my age for XLH and hard of hearing, I was constantly breaking them, or they would be chipping. So with the behind the ear, I'm able to be a little more active without having to worry about them falling out or stuff like that.
And throughout the years when you found out that you were going to be a father with me, how did you feel about having kids? Or was that a conversation that you thought that you were going to have? Or did you know that I was going to have XLH? What was your thought process?
Actually, there was very little thought process. I was young. As far as me personally seeing XLH as a disease or a problem because of the life that I did and how XLH really didn't affect me to an extent where I didn't think that my children, it would be a problem with them. So it really wasn't much thought as far as whether my children have XLH or not.
And when y'all found out that I was going to be a girl, did you know that I would have XLH or no?
My education at that time was zero as far as who would inherit this, who would inherit this. I really didn't understand XLH as a disease at that time. I still looked at it as vitamin D resistant rickets, and basically you just need to I hadn't taken medication or pills for 10 years, so I thought it was up to that point almost a phantom disease that didn't affect you.
Right. And when you did find out that I had XLH, how did that make you feel as an adult and as a father?
Well, obviously, I felt that, it was my fault. I need to take the blame for it. But again, when you were born, I didn't see the XLH. I just saw it's my child, it's my baby. I didn't see you any different than anyone else.
And with me growing up and having different conditions than you, having the more severe bowed legs and having, I guess, a more severe case, how did you react and how did you feel about?
Well, at first I was in denial as far as the severity. I looked at you not wanting to walk or you always complaining about your pain as a mental thing, saying to myself, I'm able to do these things, why can't you? And I didn't understand the different degrees that people have with XLH. Growing up, I had very little limitations that XLH brought on me. And yes, I had bad teeth problems, and yes, I couldn't run, but my knees didn't always hurt. I was able to do whatever I felt I needed to do or could do. And so when I found out that you had it and you were in pain and having problems, mobile problems, I looked at it as you were more concerned with yourself and your deformity of the leg more than the disease actually giving you these symptoms that you complain about being hurt. I thought it was more of a vanity thing more than an actual bone disease.
And at that time, you didn't have any other education on XLH or?
I knew nothing. I knew nothing about XLH. I did not even know someone else that had XLH. I may have known them, but I didn't know that they actually had the disease.
And do you think that it deterred you from wanting to have any more children? Because Zachary wasn't born for another 4 years. So do you think it?
Believe it or not, I was still naive even when you were 4 or 5. It wasn't until you had almost reached the point where you had your first surgery on your legs that I even took the disease seriously. So no, there was no, well, we already have one with XLH. Are we going to have any more children or not? It really wasn't, again, not a factor. I didn't think about it otherwise.
Were you worried that he was going to be a girl or?
I didn't know. I didn't have a preference between boy or girl at the time.
Did you even know that it was just your girls at that time?
No, I still knew nothing about XLH or any of the genetics or how one. I knew nothing about anything.
And going back to, you said that you didn't know how to process when I first had surgeries. How do you feel that my surgeries, when I first had surgery as a parent, what did you go through mentally?
Mentally, just like every parent, when you see your child in pain and having to rehabilitate themselves and you being powerless to help them, yes, I still blame myself and think it was my fault. And sometimes I would turn that into an anger towards seeing
the
situation and wanting it to be over and pushing you too much to get well, so that I wouldn't have to see that anymore.
And I know, and I've addressed this in other videos, that you feel that the surgeries weren't helpful.
I believe only in a physical form of straightening your leg. I thought they were not worth it. I think the surgeries at your age and the way that those surgeries were performed were not needed.
And do you feel that that made you more fearful or more reserved with the care for Trinity when she was born?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Even up to today, even though we know sooner or later that Trinity's going to have the surgery, just because of the severity degree of the bowing. And I'm worried about it, but yet I'm praying that technology and the surgeries they have now are not as barbaric as the ones that you had.
Good word.
So I'm okay with her having the surgeries. But all through Trinity, I've totally been against any surgeries for her. And any more surgeries for you as far as the legs are concerned. I totally disagree.
And what about yourself? If you were told that you needed a knee replacement or a hip replacement, would you be against it?
No. Anything such as a hip replacement or anything that is caused by not having the bones maturity or calcified, obviously, if they will ease the pain, I would definitely want them done. But if it's just a vanity thing where they said, hey, we could straighten your leg out, at my age and my severity, I would say, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
And okay, well, with you see as the leg straightening as a vanity thing, what if the straightening would help take pressure off the knee, take pressure off the hip? Do you still see it as a vanity thing, or do you understand the point of trying to relieve or help?
Sure, I understand that, but you're talking personally, at my age and everything, the way it is, if they said, hey, your knees will be better if we have this surgery or this surgery, or if you straighten your leg, you will feel better. With the technology these days and the way that things are going now, yes, if it's a required or recommended surgery, then of course I would be for it, yes. If they said, hey, you need to have hip replacement, okay, I have to have hip replacement.
And some of the last questions that I have is, you coached us throughout our youth in sports and everything. Do you feel that being a coach with XLH was difficult for you, or what were the, I guess, pros and cons of coaching, say, me or coaching Zachary, who doesn't have XLH? What was the differences in that?
Lip reading. Lip reading was a plus.
Yeah, lip reading was a plus. Really, as far as the coaching perspective, I never looked at, oh, I'm coaching you with XLH. I'm watching you do karate and forms and trying to help you with XLH. I never saw that as being a reason that you couldn't be the best. You were always striving to be not just as good as the other kids, you excelled. And I never coached you, your sister, or even your brother as you have XLH, you don't. I never saw that as a problem because you can't run laps. Well, Zachary couldn't run laps, and he didn't have XLH.
True.
You can't run fast. Zachary couldn't run fast, but you had no fear. Whatever. I never saw the disease as a reason to say you can't do this, and that goes from you all the way to Trinity, and it shows in the accomplishments that you have done and Trinity has done that even normal kids are not capable or have not accomplished. You have become a black belt, you have become a coach, you have done things that normal people may not ever accomplish. Trinity is the same way, high school, state, national rank, college bowler, cheerleader, state qualifiers, everything that y'all guys have done. XLH was never a factor as far as the success. Yes, when you talk to Trinity and yourself preparing to do these things, took a little more. More tape, more back supports, more splints, wraps, ice packs, more pain at the end, more pain during the middle of it. But those were just things that we had to let you prepare for. And they weren't necessarily something that I saw is because you have XLH.
Is there anything else that you want the XLH community to know, or?
Just the one thing that I've learned is that I always thought that when I learned about XLH and I saw other people who maybe were not able to walk or never played a sport, I always thought of them as those that just had given up. I did not understand that XLH has different levels of disabilities, and that hopefully from this interview and from talking, that I still feel that even with all these levels of disability, that XLH does not need to define what you do. And
And how long have you been on Crysvita?
2-3 years.
3 years.
And how do you feel that that's benefited you?
At first I didn't think it was anything. It wasn't until I actually missed the dose and then I started feeling the symptoms. My knee would give out on me. I would get getting headaches. My muscles would start affecting. So I am a firm believer.
Colima.
And even though I am older, my bones have already matured and done everything that this medicine is and does work.
Well, thank you for doing the interview, Papi-san. And thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Okay, bye.